Let me just begin by acknowledging the work of Satya Narayan Mundayur. I hope I'm pronouncing his name correctly. This 69-year-old gentleman is a Keralite who is now based in Arunachal Pradesh. And since for the last 30 years or so, he has been working and he has devoted his life to spreading the joy of reading in the remote areas of Arunachal Pradesh. And for that reason, he has been nominated and he has been awarded Padam Shri 2020. He's on that. This is a news that has just come out very recently. Um, so, by promoting joy of reading, all of you can also actually one day get Padam Shri. So please make sure that you listen to whatever is being said in today's webinar very carefully. Now, before we begin our wonderful discussion, I do want to emphasize the distinction between literacy, between reading skills, and joy of reading. So I think we need to first understand these three things. We are not going to be talking about literacy today, how to make sure that everybody in India is literate. That is not our job today. Our job also is not to focus on reading skills. These are totally different um, domains. These are totally different aspects. Our focus today is going to be to probe how do we make reading a joyful activity for our students? How do we inculcate the habit of reading? Um, Although you may be able to see bookshelves behind three of the panelists right now, but I can assure you that everybody else who's on the panel today are avid readers. They love to read. They have practiced and they promote reading in their students. So please don't be mistaken. Um, हम तीन सिर्फ जो हैं ये सब हम बताना चाह रहे हैं कि भाई हमारे पास भी किताबें हैं. बाकी जो पांच लोग हैं वो भी बहुत ज्यादा ज्ञानी हैं और पढ़े लिखे हैं. With that, I think let me quickly give us an introduction to the panelists. We have with us Dr. Aditi Mishra. She is the Director Principal of DPS Sector 5, Gurgaon. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being with us today. We have Mr. Pramod Mahajan, the Director Principal of Sharjah Indian School, which, if you are not aware, is the largest CBSE school in the world. And they have, and I keep reminding myself that they have about 18,000 students or 16,000 students. I think that's the number. Somebody who is making sure and changing life of so many students, we are very honored to have you, sir, with us today. Thank you for joining us. We also have with us Mrs. Priyadarshini Kelkar. She is the director of New Era Senior Secondary School in Vadodara. She has been an educationist all her life, and we would love to hear you. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. Amita Saxena is the former principal of DPS Sushant Lok, and she is an educationist and a school leader. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for being with us. We also have Dr. Amrita Vora with us. She is the principal and director education of GEMS India in education and principal of the GEMS school in Gurgaon. We also have Ms. Shilpi Sood. She's the principal of Shri Ram Universal School in Ludhiana. And last but not the least, my favorite, Mrs. Sangeeta Krishan, who has been part of ICSL from day one. And she has been our constant supporter. and we can pull her wherever she wants, wherever we want to pull her. Thank you, ma'am, very much once again. Mrs. Sangeeta is the former head of curriculum and training with Bharti Foundation, apart from her different roles, and she's currently an international school inspector working in Bahrain, Sharjah, Dubai, and the entire Middle East. So thank you all for being with us. I can see Dr. Aditi Mishra is okay. So you are back. Thank you. I was just worried for a minute. Um, all the panelists, if you want to enjoy your coffee, tea while we are at work, please go ahead and do that. There's nothing wrong in doing that. So let me quickly begin because it's an interesting topic. My first question, and what I'll request is, let's take up these questions. What are the things that we would like to focus on, just for my viewers also, for them to understand this? Um, the first important point that even I would want to know is, in your experience, when you have looked at students who loved reading, who found joy in reading, I would like to understand what makes them read. That is because it's not a physics or a math or a science book, and they read. मुझे याद है when I was in DPS as a student, the only books I was interested in were called Hardy Boys, and these Hardy Boys books were my favorite. But we had only 10 copies of Hardy Boys, so the moment we had a library period, we would all go to that Hardy Boys section, trying to pick up and also hide it from other people. So what makes student read and enjoy reading? I think that's one question that I have in my mind for all of you. My second question would be, there are a lot of students who avoid reading. Why do you feel, in your opinion, why do they avoid reading? That's my second question that's popping up. We need to address that. The third thing is, how can we motivate as school leaders? How can we motivate and support students to build the joy for reading? Maybe for leisure, for entertainment, it's the cheapest, it's most cost effective hobby that we can have. And my last question, which is also important, is, as school leaders, how do we measure the progress in their reading? Not the reading abilities, but are they working? As a school, what do we do to monitor and progress that they are, when they leave school, they are, wow, I love to read. They can hold that banner. So with that, I'm going to take over to Dr. Mishra first. Ma'am, your thoughts on that? Ma'am, you're muted. Yes.
You want me to answer all the questions or the first
No,
one first?
any. So what I've done is, so what I've done is, I've just pumped these questions to all the panelists. This is what we want to address. You can pick up anything that you want to address, but I would request that whatever you pick up, try to keep it to about 2 minutes, so that we can have a nice circulation of ideas. So in 2 minutes, whatever you want to address, and then we have a lot of questions from our audiences, and we would like to address those questions later. The
Thank
2
you.
minutes is yours, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Michelle. I'd like to pick up the first question first.
Okay.
That what makes children read and what can we do to make them read? And I think the other questions will sort of follow after that. And I have a wonderful set of people who will want to contribute as well. I think the first thing I will say is that children need role models. Children imbibe what they see. You can't tell them. This generation doesn't want to be told. You don't preach. You do something, and if they see any sense in it, they will follow you. So I'll begin with the home first. Whenever I have an orientation with parents, I always remind them that you are the child's first role model. Sadly, there are not too many role models available outside. So it is up to parents and teachers to do whatever role modeling we can do in our own small ways to imbibe these good habits. So if you have a family that reads, you can be 100% sure the children will read. You have families that exercise, who are into yoga and cycling and marathons, you'll find the children are doing just that. You find families who are into yoga, meditation, you'll have their children doing that. So children imbibe what they see. So my first message to everybody watching is that if you want your child to read, please read yourself. Don't just tell them to read. The second thing, as a school, what we do, I'll just share a couple of things because I think this is something which should be shared, and everybody, I think many schools are doing it already. We have some forced reading. Apart from the curriculum books, we have a reading program right from prep till class 12. A certain number of books selected by students is made part of the curriculum. Okay. So these are not assessed, these are not tested, but they're discussed. They're discussed on a Saturday, they're discussed on a zero period. On some Saturdays when children are electing to come to school, we ask them to come dressed up as the favorite character of that book. So that involvement is there. We cannot have a child reading the summary from some Google website and coming down to school not knowing what the character means or stands for or believes in. And then they talk about the character. And obviously, if one child has done it and they're in a group of 5, the other 4 will willy-nilly read because they don't want to feel small. Peer pressure is very tangible here. We also, when I teach, I volunteer information about books. I just give them a little teaser, like a trailer. It's an interesting part of the book. So you will find that children will want to read that book just out of curiosity. Ki ma'am ne mention kiya tha. Let me see what was it about. Like in class 12, we have a whole chapter on social systems, which relies very heavily on the Mahabharata. So I just mentioned this book called Palace of Illusions by Chitra Divakaruni. I had all 40 children reading that book. And it's an unput downable book. I mean, I could not stop reading it, though I was on a holiday. We also give books as awards. We don't give cash. We don't give anything but book coupons. So children have to buy books. I think these are some ways that you encourage children. And once they get hooked on, we give them a little tag of good reader. It's a little book shaped badge which they get. And this group, and the group is growing, so we are in a bit of a problem right now, but in the nicest possible way, these children accompany me or the headmistress or the librarian to buy books from the book fair or from whichever bookshop we can go to. It is the most empowering thing. They feel so important that we have to come to school. We can come in civvies and we are accompanying a teacher or the headmistress or the principal to buy some books for the library. And then they decide, ma'am, like you said, no, there were only 10 Nancy Drews and Hardy Boys. They decide. Like when Harry Potter came, they wanted 35 copies. I don't know how they reached that number, but they wanted 35 copies because it's a large school. We have more than 10 sections and everybody was clamoring for that lot of books. So these are some things which we can do as educators, as influencers, I would like to say, to encourage and promote the love for reading.
Ma'am, I have one question for you. So I think you've made very good points. How do you make students, like you said, you let them select books as part of the curriculum. How do you make them take ownership of the school library?
See, if a group of them is going to buy books for the library, that group is obviously heavily invested in the library. The others, the friends, want to aspire to be that person. So whether it is a forced thing, I don't care what the motivation is. As long as they get to start reading, I would think my job is done.
I agree with you.
And the next step for being a good reader is being a good writer.
Yes.
So a lot of my students are published writers. They're 13, 14, 16, 17, and they're writing books. Their books have been selected, their stories have been selected by Scholastic. So it's a matter of pride and joy, and it is a movement. It cannot happen suddenly. Today I'm going to start reading, and tomorrow my children will be great readers, and by February they're going to be publishing books. It's very slow. It's very intangible, and not everybody can start writing also. As long as they read, as long as I can see the vocabulary growing, I think I'm more than happy.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for touching those points. So you touched on one point, which was parents need to, it's important for parents to, become role models and start reading. I'm going to bring in Shilpi for a minute. So Shilpi, I know we had a conversation a long time back and you told me about the kind of profile of parents whose kids are coming to your school. So based out of Ludhiana, do you find that as a challenge in terms of parents' own time they spend on reading?
Certainly, sir. In fact, Ludhiana is an industrial town and with very heavy pockets, bulging badly. The checkbook is the only book that children are introduced to when they come to us. In fact, even no more of checkbook also because we have plastic money coming into play now. So, of course, when they come to us in kindergarten, sir, it's a challenge because there's no exposure at home. And as far as reading habit is concerned, the sooner the better. I mean, I genuinely feel that even when the child is in the mother's lap and she's feeding the child, stories is what she should be narrating and talking constantly. So that's how linguistic development starts taking place. And then gradually, books come into play. I still remember my daughter would not go to sleep even at age 1.3 when we would come back from a wedding till she was read to because that sooner was what I had started reading her too. So when children come to us, sir, of course that's a challenge, but I think we're used to it, badly accustomed that Ludhiana is like that. So once they start coming, of course, when the children were coming regularly to us, before COVID, in pre-COVID times, we were reading to them every day. And in some cases, also reading aloud, even to the ones, the new entrants in junior school or middle school also, because reading aloud doesn't do any harm to anybody at any age. So a lot of, see again, sir, I think as far as reading culture is concerned, it's more about nurturing than building. So you nurture it bit by bit, right from kindergarten, and then they take on. Then it's not a challenge, barring some of the challenges like, tech addiction coming into play. That's when you see fluctuations happening, but that's a fluctuation. They don't give up reading. Once a reader is always a reader, if you look at it, from that perspective too. So I feel, sir, that if we start in kindergarten and expose children to books right at that time through storytelling, through reading to them loudly, exposing them to books, building, setting up a little reading center in the classroom. And the most important thing, like ma'am was sharing, that we've got to walk the talk. The teacher is also supposed to be the role model. So every and any book that goes on to the reading, goes on to the shelf in the reading center should have been read by the teachers, all the teachers for that matter, who are coming to that particular classroom, so that they can do a lot of informal communication with children. That's how BICS is also developing. When the children start talking, when you start talking about the books, if I haven't read the book, how do you think will I talk to the child about that? So that's how motivation comes in during the break. While coming back from the assembly, why don't we do, this particular presentation or theatrical presentation for a special assembly that the class is going to be doing this time. So a lot of it, so that's how it becomes a culture when every teacher is walking the talk, not just, when just a principal is saying, or probably if the parents are not in the scene, it's all right. It's all right. We've accepted our fate like that.
So I understand that part. So कुछ कर नहीं सकते, अब नहीं पढ़ते parents तो हमें तो कुछ करना ही है. But I think what happens is, you're right in some sense, that if we give children an opportunity to experience the joy of reading, if they've read a book and they feel joyful about reading a book, and that could start from social conversations, that could start from making them embodiment of characters in the book. So let me bring Mr. Mahajan, sir. In a school of that size, with so many students, who you are responsible for,
Yeah.
how challenging it is for you, and how do you make sure that your students inculcate that joy of reading?
See, sir, to be very frank, I will be telling you the root causes. Nobody wants to read nowadays. That's a fact. That's a ground reality. Whatever you say, that's a ground reality. Everybody is addict of the telephones and technology addict, including ourselves. All might be watching, keeping the mobile aside. That is there. We 5, 6. You also was there on the mobile itself before the program was starting. So everybody is addict of that. What we are doing, we have created that one model, DEAR. Drop everything and read. Drop everything and read. In that, what we are doing, we are utilizing their test. Their test is what? They are techno savvy. So SWOT model, whatever be the opportunities are there, whatever be the threats are there, convert into the opportunity. What we are doing, they are techno savvy. You create a book. So they are creating the ebook. Now for creating, we have given them the, like this is the book creator and all. So you create the ebook. Now for creating the ebook, literature like English teachers, Hindi teacher, Malayalam teacher, they are giving them different topics. So what they are doing then, they are forced to read, but they are forced to read for doing something in which they are interested. So we are creating the interest within them, number one. Number two, we are challenging them. These 21st century students, if we challenge them, they go beyond. Otherwise not, traditional methods will not work. So their techno savviness, we ask them, okay, you create the ebook, they are creating that. Another thing, they are very good in debate. So we are making like 4 groups. You take this book, you take this book, you take this book. Now, one student will speak why I dislike this book. Analytical skill, thinking process, decision making, critical analysis. Why I dislike this book. Which character I disliked most in this book and why. Another person will say why I like this book and why I like this character. There is a healthy competition. Sometimes it's go to the criticism and to the argument also. But in that process of argument and the criticism, they were reading like anything. They were all of a sudden the rate of the issue of the books in the library increased. Some books are out of stock. Why? Because that topic has been given to them. So these are the things which we are doing. And another thing is, again, their test. See, if you are taking everyday poha and jalebi, after some days, you will be saying, what is this breakfast? I have to change something. I have to go for idli and sambar. So we are giving them the various tests, various genres, fiction, sometimes non-fiction, sometimes dramatic, sometimes poem, sometimes like that. So if you change their test, they will do that thing. If you give them the mathematics book and then say like, okay, this theorem, you complete that thing, they will not do that thing. They will not do that thing. But if you tell them, take this science book and find out how will you create an amplifier. So first they will read what is amplifier, what are the things required, they will do research. Their research ability is too much. Now, who will make them to research? That's the question mark. The teacher has to read. If we are reading and challenging them, they will do the research. Now, it doesn't mean that reading doesn't mean that only your textbook or only the books or only the novels they have to read. No, force them for the research. In the research, they cannot do cut, copy, paste. So they will find out this article, they will find out that article. That they will not read only, they are writing also, because they have to create something. For creating something, they have to read, they have to write. As well as what we are doing, we are keeping some competition, that is very common, but we are keeping the competition in what manner? Phonetics. So for the phonetics also, they have to refer a lot of books. Vocabulary, they have to refer a lot of books. Then comprehension. There are 3 books. What we're doing, giving them, okay, these 3 books you choose. You go through these books and we will ask you to write something from those books only. So they are reading that thing and then unseen passage that is not in that book, but something related to that. We'll ask them and then they do that. So that manner, these youngsters are motivated, challenged, their techno-savviness is introduced, used, and that sort of interest is created. All these things are created, joyfully they are reading. Otherwise, if you force them, nothing happening.
Right. So I think I fully agree with you. I mean, what you've said is absolutely right. That forcing reading upon them is not going to work. But there's still a question, in my mind, that if somebody had to, I'll give you a simple example just to put the context slightly, back on track.
Mm-hmm.
I am somebody, you can easily see if you can see me right now. I'm somebody who doesn't seem like very, very crazy about physical exercise.
Mm-hmm.
You can look at my size and you can look at my weight, and
I
have never ever found joy in exercise. I bought a treadmill, but I did not use it. Right? I paid the gym fee of about 30,000 rupees a year, went for 3 days. It cost me 10,000 rupees per day. Because whatever I did not. Yes, if I had a wife, she would have forced me to make sure that this money is wisely spent. I was just lucky that I'm single, so nobody forced me to do that also. Now the question is,
Yeah.
question in my mind is, yes, we can use different techniques um, to uh, to ex- to make our students aware about reading. We can force, we can create structures, create structures. But there is a different side. There is a side where, as school leader, we ignite the joy of reading in them from within.
Yes.
Um, so that's a different ball game altogether. Uh, Now, as school leaders, yes, we have to provide them this structure where part of that routine they start reading. But the bigger challenge is when we say culture of reading. Okay, um, I mean, so yes, I've heard that teachers also need to be avid readers, but do we spend time where books are discussed socially in a school, where it's where our see we discuss social serials, right? TV serials, we discuss Netflix programs, and that's why they go ahead and watch them. Can we create hours where only books are discussed, or I'm looking for something like that. So I'll bring Dr. Amita Saxena right now to shed her views on how do we make somebody really experience the joy of reading. How do I do that with my students if I had to do that? Ma'am. Ma'am, you are muted. Uh, yes.
That's oops. Good
Yes.
evening, everyone. Um, I do agree with Aditi ma'am and sir, who have said that you have to be a role model first to induce or let the children imbibe the skill of reading or the habit of reading. And at the same time, yes, today with so much distraction available in terms of technology, in terms of mobiles, television, smart tech gadgets, and everything, it becomes very difficult for a child, a growing up child, to get into the habit of reading. Now, why is reading important? It is important because it not only creates the imagination in the child, it also provides the very important stimulating skill in the child, which creates curiosity, so that the child wants to need to know more. So to know more, then he has to read more. And for that, I think what you have asked us to create socialized circles or hours in the school. That's something that's a very good idea, and schools have started that also. Sir mentioned about DEAR, which we were also doing DEAR time. Also, there are group discussions that are held after the library period or after the children have had a book for a week. Then there are those group discussions in the classroom where children can sit together and discuss few books which were very popular among that age group. And the characters could be discussed, the summary of the book could be discussed, why it interested them could be discussed, and hence the word traveled. That this book was very popular among this age group. And so the others who had not read that particular book and felt that whatever they got was not as good would definitely want to catch hold of that book and read it. Another thing that we started doing in the library, it is not a socializing thing, but it did help. We had a whiteboard put up in the library, and every child was supposed to write the name of a book which he or she had read that week or in the fortnight, and would write a sentence or a review about that. So everybody had to write it. Instead, if they had not read the book, they couldn't write it, and the others who had not read would definitely see what the other child had written. If he or she differed in their opinion, they would go and write their own comment or review, and hence the review increased. And the others who did not read or had not read that book, were not interested in reading, would definitely see, oh God, this particular book has got about 150 reviews. Maybe there's something in it that I should definitely read. Another thing which I feel is very important, especially with the age appropriate groups, is the kind of book that is made available. You have to find the book which the child will enjoy. Meaning, I know that children are forced sometimes to read, and they all think that it is going to be the librarian or the teacher is going to ask me questions about it after I finish reading. So it has become like an assessment. So I don't want to read the book. Instead, they should be reading books which really interest them. So it could be an illustrated cartoon strip. How does it matter? It means reading, the skill of reading and knowing more vocabulary, knowing how to pronounce words, knowing the meanings of the words. So I feel very, very strongly about creating a readers' theatre, which we started also. And it really works well, especially in the primary and elementary group, where children are allowed to first read a story on their own, and then with the help of teachers, peers, and parents. And then in a group inside the classroom only, they are given parts or portions of that story to read out with expressions, and then they have to kind of finish off the story. So it is a theater where you don't need much infrastructural facilities. It's the same classroom, the same setup, and you don't need a stage, you don't need props, you don't need, and you could use those if required. So I found that was something which really worked well, and children did start reading, and I think that is one takeaway that everyone else, if they have not started it, could take it.
That's excellent. I mean, I was listening to you and you rightly said, we have to make them read whatever interests them. I think that selection of we can't really force, our Mark Twain on everybody. We and
Absolutely.
there's no need to force Mark Twain on everybody. Um, and we can allow them to choose what they want to learn. Because I know from my experience, I love to read biographies of people. If somebody asked me to do, I hate reading fiction, by the way. It just doesn't gel with me. And if somebody asked me to, read fiction, I'll probably give them 5,000 rupees to get the hell out of my face. So just, let's make sure that they are reading. That's all that's important, and they're having fun reading. Making assessment as a consequence of reading might actually put them off slightly. Uh, let's just say just read, and maybe if they are tech savvy, it's a good idea. Maybe, that maybe we ask them to create a video review of the book that they have read using their mobile phones, so that they feel they are using technology and they're creating a video where they are reviewing a book and talking about the book. So that's something that we can do. Mrs. Kelkar, I would want to understand, from you, in your experience of that long, owning a school, running a school, what are the kind of challenges you faced and how did you motivate students to become avid readers? And your views on that, ma'am.
Good evening, everybody. Am I audible?
Yes, absolutely.
Uh, the first thing I would like to say is, why do people avoid reading? Is what I was thinking. People avoid reading because of the yellowed pages. Sometimes the binding to be bad. If I want to relax and hold the book in hand, I'm not able to hold it. Too small a font. First few pages very uninterestingly written, and that makes me lose interest in the book. So the book should be such that the first few pages are very gripping. At times I tell people that do not read first few pages. If you feel that they are not interesting, go and skip to further pages, and then you will find people would like to read. Of course, nowadays, like other panelists also were talking, children are losing interest because they're more interested in sports. So, like you said, you like to read biographies. Why not stock the library with biographies of the sports people? Autobiographies and biographies of the sports people. Yesterday, I was watching KBC and they were talking about Golden Girl, the book written by P.T. Usha. So, why can't we have the books on autobiography and biographies of these sports persons that would interest them? They're interested in movies. That is how also they are losing interest. Also, they are losing interest because of the gadgets. You had sent the question to me that when they are hooked upon the gadgets, what can be done? Now, tablets, yes, tablets are good. People use tablets also. But I have a bag from Scholastic People which says that my book smells better than the tablet. Okay, if that kind of tagline is written somewhere in the library, people would get interested in that. I would tell you what I mean, we have done, my librarians are outstanding librarians. They are very, very dynamic in their approach. And I will tell you what we have done to make reading a habit and a culture, as you put it, that it should be a culture. So, how? I mean, we have a common reading. The whole school reads on the ground on 26th of January, and the whole school reads on 15th of August in the class. That is the program we have as a family, the whole school. We spread our own mats and we bring our own book and we sit on the ground there, everybody including me, and 1 hour there is a reading time there. Nobody talks there, but there is only reading that is happening. That is one thing. We also celebrate library weeks. Towards the end of the academic year, a library week is celebrated and children keep on looking forward to that. What happens in that library week? In the library week, there are various competitions age appropriate, from the primaries to the secondaries, age appropriate, like maybe dressing up as the character of the book, or maybe role playing of the character of the book, or maybe group discussions on that. And the culmination of that last is the reader of the year. Level wise, we select the reader of the year. And how do we select the reader of the year? There are panelists brought in from outside, people who read like you all. They are asked to come to the school, requested, and then they discuss various books. And only when the child is able to talk about various books, about the authors, etc., then you will find children get the Reader of the Year award. That is one thing. Then we also have in the library big, huge trees with leaves there. And as soon as you complete reading a book, the child goes and writes his or her name there. So that makes the child feel. I have studied in Ferguson, and Ferguson had a very has a very rich library. Ferguson College, Pune, a very rich library. And in fact, I remember I had told my mother after my graduation that keep me in the hostel for 2 years. She said, "Do you want to do your post graduation?" I said, "No, I don't want to. I want to read." And she said, "What fantastic idea she has, that she wants to read and not study anymore." Because I wanted to read the books in the library. So my photograph is there in Ferguson Library there, and that makes people very, enthusiastic to read a book.
Yes. Yes.
We also have talk times for in the primary classes about the book that the child has read, because in any case we encourage communication skills. So to have the communication, it is the book that the children talk about. We also do not allow the children to bring any sweets or anything to the school on their birthdays, but then if the parents want, they can donate a book to the library. And that doesn't go to the main library, but that goes to the class library. We have created class libraries as well, along with the school library. The idea was, there are some fast children, those who complete the work very fast, and then they disturb the other children. So therefore, we keep the books there so that the children go and pick up a book and keep reading. Now that motivates the others also to finish reading, completing the work and going and taking a library book. So that way also we make children interested. We do not give prizes in terms of maybe medals or maybe trophies or anything, or cash prizes, but we give the crossword gift coupons, or we buy the books also. If you come first in a particular subject, you get 3 points. If you come first in the aggregate, you get 5 points, and you collect 100 points and you get a prize of diligence there, and that is also given a book. That is the way children get motivated. My teachers, I have encouraged them. You all have been talking that unless the teachers do that, how can it happen? Yes, the teachers are there. I have made compulsory really, because after the exams are over, children go home at 11 o'clock. So 11 to 12 and 12 to 1. 11 to 12, it is compulsory for the teachers to go to the library or go to the computer room to get digitally trained, and vice versa. So half the crowd goes here and half the crowd goes there. Also, we stay back for 4 hours in a week, 2 hours on Mondays and 2 hours on Thursdays. And in these 4 hours, 1 hour is the library time. And they do not do any reference work there, but they read some magazine. There are plenty of magazines there, Education World and Time and The Week, etc. So if they want to read those, or else if they want to take a book, they can take a book. Our teachers, librarians, take the children. I think Aditi ma'am had already talked about it. They take the children to the bookstores to buy books. Also, a week in advance or 15 days in advance, they ask the children to give their suggestions for books. We have two libraries, one for junior section, one for senior section. And in junior section, we don't have tables and chairs. But children, there are huge rectangular tables painted by our art department and painted in the storybook forms, the characters. And children sprawl themselves on the floor. We have put linoleum there, and we sprawl them. They sprawl there and they read the books, because I feel children love to read. Even I would like to read sprawling on the bed or sprawling down there on the floor instead of sitting at a table and chair. So we allow them to do that. Once the habit is inculcated, it will go on. And what Aditi ma'am was saying was also, family should read. And let me put it the other way: a school that reads together learns together. It is not only the family, but I was compelled. At times, you need to compel people. I was compelled by my father to read the editorials from Times of India. All three were to be read, and one was to be written as a summary. And when I finished my 11th matriculation and when I was going to the hostel, then I thought that it's over now. I won't have to do that anymore. But then he said that you cannot do that every day now. You send me your summaries once a week, and he would correct and send them back. And like the young girl, I said that the newspaper is not on the stand, the girls take away normally. So prompt came the money, start buying the newspaper yourself. There was no denying, I had to do it. But the habit form is habit form today even. So
Yes.
that's the way, at times compelling also we will have to do. But
Yes.
constant nagging will make the children not read, is what
No,
I
I think you're absolutely right. In fact, we were having a discussion. So ICSL also runs this program called TeleLead together with the research team of Oklahoma State University. And we were having a discussion with Professor Ed Harris about building cultures in schools. And, it all starts from building small routines that people follow. Once those routines get set in, automatically the cultures. So yes, sometimes we do have to create those routines within a school day or a school year to make sure that everybody's reading. And one of the things I want to point out, if anybody, any of your students feels that they want to spend more time on technology and less on books, just tell them that the founder of probably the world's largest technology firm is an avid book reader. Bill Gates, even today, reads physical books, and whenever he goes off, he always carries a bag which has his favorite books, and so does Warren Buffett. So both these people, one of the richest guys and one of the most technology, जो माइक्रोसॉफ्ट की टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करते हैं, वो किताबें पढ़ना बंद कर देते हैं, पर जिसने माइक्रोसॉफ्ट की टेक्नोलॉजी बनाई है वो आज भी किताबें पढ़ रहा है और उससे सीख रहा है. So let me bring Dr. Amrita for a minute. Ma'am, your views on how do we create that culture of joy and culture of reading?
Thank you so much, Dr. Mitchell. And thank you, my fellow panelists. I think I agree with most of the things that have been already said with such a stellar panel. And I think, from role models to ensuring, dear periods and so on and so forth, and getting the children to actually go buy books for the library, and building that sense of ownership that everyone's been talking about. I think all of us are doing quite a few of all of these things at all the schools. So, and yes, while it is challenging to always have parents who will be role models, and parents have their own set of challenges at home and scenarios, but the environment essentially does play a huge, huge role. But then we have to remember that, reading is at the heart of everything. Children first learn to read and then read to ways, one of the things that research shares with us, in which we ensure that in every orientation at GEMS, we definitely tell parents, is that, every day you're able to spend about 15 minutes of your time and just sit and read with your child. That's irrespective of the age. In fact, even in the prenatal period, it is good, and research tells so. So if you can just spend 15 minutes, the thing about consistency, doing it once in a while doesn't help, and it'll be tough to do. The child will also wonder why, what's happening. But uh, our culture begins from the periods when we always saw maybe a father reading a newspaper or a mother reading a magazine, or further still, maybe families reading together to each other and so on. So that really plays a huge role. Even today, if that happens, and in the school, readers theater has already been mentioned, but reading is not just about reading. It's about LSRW, and we have to look at it that way. It's about building imagination. It's about, so nobody will just read if we just have something sounding very dull drab. You have to pick up a book and just sit and read. It needs to be created around. So lots of strategies that we use, like think aloud, like readers theater, or like Gems Broadway, where children actually enact authors, enact characters. Everybody dresses up like somebody or the other, and these are every other day. And we have a children's group. We call them our student board or editorial board. They conduct workshops for each other. Like sometimes they pick up speed reading workshops. They have a quill club, and the quill club writes books and publishes books, and gets books published, and other people have now, as ma'am also mentioned, these are young kids, 13-14-year-olds, and their books get published. It is something, and they tend to obviously influence each other. They also, now with technology coming in, children have created something they call their own Gems Hearsay, their own YouTube channel that they use to discuss about stories and books. And they have their own blogs, they have their own ideas shared here and there. And all of these put together, all of these all around and every day, what really matters in the school and during the entire teaching learning process is, building in a really strong reading program. I think ma'am already mentioned it. So it's not about just putting the reading program there and encouraging reading. It's also about how we deliver it, how we integrate that in the classroom. One thing that's been really useful for us, and in many schools I've seen that, is the corridor libraries. So the school corridor is a very key place. And again, as you said, it's about building the culture. So yes, we have class libraries, and ma'am has already mentioned how they help and work. And but also corridor library. So we tell parents and we tell children that any book you've already read and you don't need it anymore, you can donate it at the school. And the corridor library, the child can write their name and class and everything and donate that book, and it stays in the corridor library. Corridor is a place where children pick up books. There's no issuing of those books. There's no returning. It's purely my choice. It's our honesty library, we call it. And they pick up and they can put it back whenever. And what happens is they tend to discuss. I read this, this is my book, I've already read it, I put it in my corridor library, and this happens in that story. And then another child is encouraged, and so on. The discussion and their own each other, what they will listen to their peer group in a way that they'll never listen to any adult, be it parent or teacher. So that is there. And yes, very, very key for teachers to have a culture of reading among themselves. So I think it's so heartening to hear from everybody that many schools are already thinking on these lines and are doing it. So teachers really, somehow they're always busy doing this, doing that, and so on and so forth. But we have to ensure that every week, so we have this period where teachers have just a discussion on some books that they read and what was it about and how. Very important also, no matter what book and when we are discussing reading, it's text to self. What does this text mean to me? And then intertextuality. What is the text? How is it connected to some other text? And text to the world. Connecting it in these ways is very, very key, and we have to build that in. Phonics is again a very key thing, right, for the early childhood, and early childhood is the time when we can really build this. So my 5-year-old nephew say, I just ended up asking him, how is it going? How is school? How are you doing? And this child responds, I'm fine, I've reached Lexile level this, and I think I will reach this one very soon. So if children are able to really understand themselves and their own learning style, their own reading level, like this, that is when they really develop the skill. It's really building ownership.
One,
And in the process, they
so
will
one of the great, sorry to interrupt, one of the great things that you said in the beginning was about the environment and how the environment plays a huge role. And I just want to, like, that triggered a very good thought in me, Amrita ji, which I want to share before I move on to Sangeeta ma'am. You're the best, and that's why I've kept you for the last. Is I remember the day when I visited the library at Harvard. This was one of the days when I was, visiting Boston, and I got a chance to go to the library. Uh, so I don't know if you have been to Harvard's library or no, but the moment you enter that library, you feel like reading. You feel like just sitting there. You feel like picking up a book. The whole environment inspires you. So I think one of the things that schools and principals and teachers might want to do is let's try to make library the most attractive place on our campus. I think we should put colors, we should put sofas, we should put lounge chairs, whatever these kids want, as long as they don't break them. If they are dipsites, they will definitely break them, because I know I am a dipsite. But let's make it joyful. Let's make the entire environment. We see so many good schools coming up now, and they invest so much money in creating a nice reception and a nice lobby, and all the money is spent on that portion. But then the libraries, when you go there, they're just almirahs of books, and there are rows of tables, and they look like the dumbest place to be in. And I think one of the things that could be considered by some of you is, would you like to spend 2 hours in your library reading a book? And if the answer is yes, then I'm very sure soon kids would also want to do that. Sangeeta ma'am, I know you have done a lot of work with Bharati Foundation. You created their curriculum, and you worked with a lot of students in remote areas also, in trying to inculcate those reading. So reading skills. Apart from that, were you able to sense the joy when kids were reading, or would you like to share some feedback from that journey that you had with those kids? Over to you, ma'am.
There are two different.
Just for 1 second, I'll interrupt you. Please do put your questions in the question and answer tab. Our panelists can also browse that. I think we have already covered some of those questions. If there are new ones, we are definitely going to be talking about. But please restrict your questions to developing the culture of learning or the joy of learning, the joy of reading or the culture of reading. Sangeeta ma'am, over to you.
So, Atul, you very rightly put. One is developing the reading skill, and the second aspect is to develop the joy for reading. And since today we are focusing on the joy for reading, I think in Bharati Foundation, our main focus was on developing the reading skills, because we had first generation learners coming to us. We had children who had no exposure to print media in their homes. So for us, the focus there was definitely developing the learning skill, the reading skills, And then, in a few years, once that skill was acquired, we kind of moved on, we tried to inculcate the joy of reading. But then, we knew that there were lots of handicaps in that, and children had actually nothing at home to pick up and start reading, no magazines, newspaper. But, despite that, we saw some children picking up, even those paper bags that they got from the vegetable vendors, or from, when they bought that little mumfali or popcorn or whatever, they would start reading that also. And they would come back to school. Ma'am, maine ye yahan pe padha hai, they tell their teachers, and we have documented, such stories also. But what I feel more important, because we have most of our panelists and our teachers and the participants of today's workshop are from more private schools, more upmarket schools. I think, for me, I'm going to turn the whole thing around a little. I've been hearing everybody's come out with excellent points on how to develop these skills. Lots has been discussed, what makes reading enjoyable, how to motivate and support the joy of reading. But then, as a school leader, how do I know that this is happening? Your last question, Atul, which I think we have not yet kind of spoken on. As a school leader, how do we measure the progress in their reading? So we are not measuring the progress of their reading skills, but we are going to measure the progress of their reading.
Right.
And Pramod is here. We have lots of participants from the UAE today on our, I can see their names here. But, I kind of recollect kind of a whole country endeavor, whole country mission in the UAE a couple of years back, when they put reading as one of their national agenda points for that year. Pramod, am I right?
Yeah. I actually wanted to come on that point.
You had to come, yes. So let me bring it up now.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so impressed. It comes from the government, a whole country initiative of reading. It was a year of reading for the country. So whether you board a metro train, whether you are on a station, whether you are on a bus station, whether you are in the mall, everywhere there were these books were kept and people could just pick up something. What Dr. Amrita said, that reading corridor. So similar reading corridors were across the nation. I think this is what we say of developing the interest and the joy for reading, and we could see a sea change within the schools, because in all the schools that I visited, maybe about 20-25 schools in that tranche that I may have visited, we saw, there was so much importance being laid to reading. And obviously, when you are doing that, you cannot say that all grade 5 children should be reading the same genre or the same level of books. Sometimes when we have schools with libraries, wonderfully, like you said, well-stocked libraries, but all locked up. And the librarian, when the class 4 enters, she goes to one shelf, she picks up these 30-40 books and she tells them to choose. No, it doesn't happen. I may be in class 4, but I may be interested in reading something which is astrophysics of class 8 or something. Maybe I may not understand everything, but that is the real joy for reading, because I'm interested in knowing more about that.
Yeah.
So on one side, we have the joy for reading fiction. On one side, we have this joy of finding out more through reading. So both these aspects of reading need to be nurtured in the school, And also sometimes we also insist, oh, you are in grade 7 and you are reading this kiddish book of class 3 or grade 4, but why not? In the library period, when the child is going, why should he be reading something that is totally age appropriate? He has not yet developed that reading skill, and therefore if he wants to begin at 2 steps lower and then climb up, no harm, let him do it. So this kind of a regimented approach to reading that most of our Indian schools take, we need to break that barrier is one. And second, again, I'm trying to put on my auditor's hat and see that when you all say that you want to develop this culture of reading, as an auditor, if I step into your school, how do I know that you're actually developing it? So first of all, I may visit your website before coming into the school. What does the website talk about? It talks of all the laurels in the academic field. It talks of all the trophies and laurels won in the sports field, in the cultural field. I never get to see in any of the school, what are they talking about reading? What are their children reading and how it can be? So, the website, when I visit your school, is there a feeling that the school encourages reading? The school is encouraging maths, is encouraging English literature, is encouraging all the subjects. There's lots happening on the sports field, but we do not really get to see how. It's not tangible to us. And if it's not tangible, you can't feel it in the air. Let me put it simply as that. You have to feel it in the air that this is a school where reading is being encouraged. So it has to be a whole school approach.
There's a
Very rightly, Aditi Mishra ma'am has already said, Dr. Amrita's, Mrs. Kelkar, everybody has, spoken about how the principal has to get involved. Yes, it has to be, a top-down effect. It has to be a bottom-up effect, all that. But it has to be in the air of the school, And unless children, they breathe that air.
now there's
Simply put,
Yeah.
children breathe the air that you are generating in the school,
Right.
this vibrant reading atmosphere in the
Sangeeta,
school. This is
one
important.
question that you might want to take
Yeah.
up right now is from Arvinder Kaur.
Mm.
This is a good question. We need to discuss about rural areas where parents do not know the importance of reading because they are illiterate. Kindly think of have-nots too and tribal areas. So apart from the fact, Arvinder, that we started this program by talking about Padam Shri Satyanarayan Mundiyar, who has been inculcating the joy of learning in tribal areas of Arunachal Pradesh. But could one of the panelists probably share their thoughts on whether reading is something that only can exist in urban areas or whether it would happen? Sangeeta, do you want to take this up?
Sure. Atul, see, I'm saying again that the strategies that we will use in those areas will be different. First of all, give them exposure to print media is something that is very, very important, in these pockets where they have no access to anything. Recently, I have met a young girl and I'm kind of helping her to do that, is to collect books from my locality in the neighborhood where I live. We are trying to collect books and she's going to take them into Nagaland to sponsor the library of a school in Nagaland, So she's asked for English medium books because obviously Hindi is not going to work there. Again, we should not have a language barrier in these places. I very strongly feel that, children should be allowed to read in the language which they understand, which they can comprehend. There's no point trying to force them to read books, English books or any other language books, which they don't understand. So I think that is very important in these. And of course, these areas need to have programs like the Room to Read, mobile libraries, library on wheels. There are umpteen foundations and initiatives which can be partnered. The schools can partner with them and they can be, once a week or something, a mobile library comes into the school and children have the time to pick up their books, read. So these kind of initiatives work very well in our rural areas. I've seen it working in far-flung Jodhpur, Barmer, where Rajasthan government has got mobile libraries and they're coming to the schools.
I think
Can I come in here? Can I
Yes.
come in for a minute, Dr. Nishra?
Absolutely. I was going to come to you anyways, and you want to, while you give your comments on that question, another question I want to answer. What about audiobooks? Would that also be listening to an audiobooks? Would that also be considered reading a book?
See,
Or is that a separate?
yeah. On that audio book, we have.
Pramodji, 1 minute. Let Aditi ma'am answer and then I'll come to you.
Okay.
I just wanted to mention there's a portal called Diksha Portal by CBSE where a lot of content is being put, and within a month or two you will also find some very good graphic novels there. So the graphic novel is sort of making into more simple, deconstructing a more complex issue like for integers or solid shapes or industrial revolution. Variety of topics are being picked up, and each of these books will eventually in the next few months be translated into all the major languages. So that language barrier, even the NEP is talking about very strongly, that wherever possible, let the child learn in the mother tongue. There is a reason. Language should not become the reason for the child not to study. My second point, which I will be differing with quite a few people who are talking about measuring reading. You can't measure reading. I'm sorry. You can measure my weight, which like Atul is a little on the iffy side, but you can't, anything which is joyous. I'm very fond of cooking. How will you measure whether I'm a good cook or a bad cook? I mean, the very fact that my friends make demand, please make this, we are coming on the weekend, or my children say make enough so we can freeze it. That is an indicator. So if a library is booming, you can see well-thumbed books, You can see that the children are writing. You have an online webzine where children are putting up new articles every 15 days. Those are indicators. I don't think it's possible to measure reading. That's my humble opinion. I could be wrong.
No, I think you're absolutely right. I would not want anybody to even measure my weight. Forget. But I totally agree with you, Dr. Mishra, that something joy is very, but as you rightly said, there are indicators of knowing whether the school is being able to inculcate the joy of reading. And those indicators, as you rightly gave some examples, are, very visible, how excited are kids to be in the school. Also, Pramodji, you wanted to add something to that?
Yeah. See, creating a library, big library, providing the facilities and all, that is going on. I wanted to cite one example. I will not quote the name of that place or that library. When I happened to be with my mentor and APJ Abdul Kalam, we visited one library. He has taken one book, dusted that thing, and said, wow, this library is a graveyard of books. So that should not happen. That's one thing. That should not happen. Another thing is, for the show mobile library, make the library in the classroom and all, that will not serve the purpose. Now, measurement of whether they are reading or not, it should not be the reading habit should not be measured, but the head of the institution should be measured whether they are promoting the library or not. In UAE, let me tell you, in the inspection framework, they have mentioned that thing, reading and comprehension, and they have put that thing in the category of the senior leadership. So if the reading and comprehension is not happening, the senior leadership will not get the proper, grade and all that is there. So that measurement should happen, and that is compulsory. Otherwise, it is very easy to say that thing. Another thing is audiobooks. See, in our KG section, we have introduced RWI program, that is by Ruth Meskin. Read, write inclusively. So speedy writing, loud reading, the KG students, the way they are pronouncing, it's fantastic. They have enhanced their phonic skill. You tell them umbrella, they will make the spelling, or they started writing also that thing. So that audiobook helps in that manner. That's another thing. Third thing is to make it joyful. In UAE, in particularly in Sharjah, there is a Sharjah World Book Fair. It's very famous every year. And the Nobel Prize winners, authors are coming over there. And literally, they are going to school. And in the inspection framework, they have mentioned that thing, how many authors have visited to your school, how many sections they have taken, how many sessions they have taken, and how many books your students have published in the International Book Fair. So that is not a compulsion, but it's create the environment, it's create the habit of reading. And to our surprise, first year, our 2 students have published their books in the International Book Fair. Now we have to wait and we have to demand the time, because it is, everyone is in queue. So we are also in the waiting time here, that 10 students are waiting, 20 students are waiting, like that. So that is important. Another thing is bringing the authors are coming, having the session, and they are motivating the students, showing their books. I was not knowing anything. I was not even able to write anything. But now my 3 books are ready, and they're giving that books to them, and then they're asking you what you write. To our surprise, there are many writers created by default. That creation creates the atmosphere of reading. Putting books here and there, again the same thing, whether those books were taken care of properly, or otherwise the caretakers are going and taking care of the books, that's another thing. But one thing is important, yes, the measurement at every level should happen, whether it is students reading habit measurement, or the teachers reading habit measurement, or how the school leaders are taking care of that thing, and up to what extent they are doing that one, that is important.
Wait, sir, but wait, so I have a question. I have a question for you. See, I can measure skills. So
Yes.
I can measure reading skills.
Yes.
Suppose I read a book which
Yeah.
is called The Man Who Knew Infinity,
Yes.
which was an autobiography of Ramanujan.
Yeah.
And I found joy, and I felt that I should read more autobiographies.
Yeah.
Now, how will we measure the joy element associated with learning? So there are two different aspects. One aspect is my reading ability and my reading skill and my
Yes.
comprehension ability. वो तो SAT भी measure करता है, GRE भी measure करता है, वो तो हमें भी measure करनी पड़ेंगी because बच्चे ने exam pass करना है.
Yes.
But the problem is that we need to go beyond reading skills.
Yeah.
And also look at when kids leave our when the NEP talks about culture of reading,
Yes.
they don't talk about reading skills or comprehension skills. That is assumed. But even those people who have those reading skills, for example, teachers have reading skills, teachers have reading comprehension. But if we ask on an average, so I'm not talking about the 500 odd, awesome educators who are still with us 10 past 6. So I'm not talking about those 500 people. I'm talking about an average teacher who might be teaching in one of the schools in India. They themselves have not issued any book or bought any book. And the example for that is if I go to a mall, I see a line outside McDonald's trying to buy a burger. But when I go to a bookstore, I see 3 people there. 2 of them are senior citizens, and one of them is their grandson who had to accompany them. Now, when we see bookshops empty, when we see restaurants and McDonald's piled up, then obviously there is a matter of concern within our education system that are we really creating book lovers? Are we creating foodies in our culture? So that's just an example. Please don't take it literally. Sometimes I give these examples. If school wants to make sure that 1,000 kids who are studying with them, maybe 40% of them end up becoming really good lovers, that they read books. The number of books that a child has read in a year have to be documented somewhere. There has to be a data for that. Now, if we keep assuming that just because they have reading skills, they will be buying books and reading them on their own, that is a faulty assumption. Somewhere there has to be a data at a school level that, look, these are the number of books that this kid has read, and he is able to impromptu talk about that book. Now, that part, maybe we can't call it a measurement metric, but that is still an indicator that tells us how well we are doing as a school in promoting the culture of reading within our teachers or within our schools. That part is there. And one of the things that's important is the students should be able to access the books that they like. I think that's very important. If they only see books, maybe that are being bought by somebody else for their library, for their reading, it's becoming very difficult. Half the times we as adults can't figure out what interests digital natives. So I think there are two different elements. Reading skill is very important. As you rightly said, it has to be measured. We have to figure out how good are they. But as Aditi also mentioned that, look, it's not just about measuring the skill part. It's also trying to watch for those indicators which show us that the learning is moving. So in that respect, we need to create a culture of reading within the school where everybody is involved in reading. I think, would you agree with that part, Pramodji?
Yeah. No, 100% we agree. And then I wanted to cite one example. What we are doing, those students were celebrating their birthdays. Instead of distributing the chocolates and all, they are giving one book to the library. But in what manner? They are writing 5-6 pages on that book. I read this book. I like this book. The review of this book is this. And if you want to wish me, I am putting this book in the library. Please go through that review. Please read that book and come up with your new ideas. And that is a happy birthday for me. So that is also helping a lot. That is also helping a lot. We are following one more style, that is the star of the month. And the star of the month is, again, there is a strategies for that. There is a yardstick success criteria. In that success criteria, one success criteria is how many books, how many articles you have read in this month, and what is your book reviews on that. So that is also one of the criteria. That way we can measure that thing that is there. And then finally, when the year of the student of the year, that is also linked with that. So there is reward. There is no punishment in that area, but rewarding is helping. Create challenging them is helping. Birthday celebration like that, that is also helping. Calling the authors and they are giving the examples and they are motivating them. And they're telling that, yes, you can become, because I was not knowing anything. At least you are knowing so many things. So you can be a better author. So like that, things are like that. The creation of the atmosphere is going on and the culture is being created. So these are some.
That's great. I don't know how many of you are actually monitoring the chat or looking at the chat, but
yeah,
at the chat, and people are, I think, so happy with all the inputs that you guys are giving them. I mean, I am myself so convinced that this is one of the best webinars we have had in a very long time. It's 6:15. We still have 450 plus people. So I'm going to go for closing statements and I'll go in the reverse order this time so that everybody feels happy about it. So Sangeeta ji, 30 seconds, your closing statement, 30 seconds.
While we discussed so much about how to inculcate reading, I think we still have a little unanswered question which everybody should take back with them is what do we do for students or learners or children who avoid reading? Specifically, how are we going to target that little bunch? We've done everything possible, all these initiatives, and yet there are these 2-3 who kind of shrug. So what are we going to do? Let everybody take home this question and think about it.
Thank you. Now, next is Dr. Amrita. I'm going in the reverse order if my memory helps me correctly. Amrita ji.
And a very relevant question Sangeeta ji has just put. And yes, there are children, despite all the efforts that we all put in, who still want to avoid reading. There could be reasons, there could be dyslexia, there could be other reasons, and there could be just sheer lack of interest because of other factors. But
your voice is very low.
Is it better?
Slightly better, yes.
So we've all been saying technology is just creating barriers or moving children away from reading, but technology in so many ways is also creating something. So there is immersive reader that I'm sure a lot of us must try. It's been very useful. There is read theory, which does help children in multiple ways. And more than anything else, reading is the heart of teaching learning or learning anything. I personally don't believe in rewards and punishments as an ideology. I'd rather work with growth mindsets and work towards that. And what's really useful is something like Creating the Environment. We just finished with the Literature Festival, and all my children are reading. The Literature Festival wasn't a competitive event at all. While there were entries by children of most of topics and themes and so on, but what was very key was a whole 20 days spent in the school with various authors, from Shashi Tharoor to Kiran Mandral to poets of sorts. Everybody was there, and children had interactions with these minor authors and their books. And the very idea of meeting, talking.
Okay, 30 seconds. So I'll get back. I think we'll have to have one more session on this. So I think Mrs. Kelkar, 30 seconds, ma'am.
I would talk about what Sangeeta ji is wanting to know, how to motivate the people who avoid reading. Perhaps we can show a presentation to the children, start like the pre-reading program, where we are just going to tell a small story, partly story, and then motivate them to see what comes next. That is one way. Second way is giving them very easy reading books, not to the age appropriate, but very easy, because at times the language becomes a big barrier to them. So something very easy for them to read, and that way we can motivate the children and we can make the children read. Regarding how we can measure, it is of course you said data is there. School library software does that part, but then also we can have classroom discussions on certain books which will motivate people to read, and those who avoid reading can also be motivated to read. That's it, I think, 30 seconds.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Amrita ji, Dr. Shannon, closing statement.
Yeah, we've all today spoken and heard that it's important why reading is to be instilled and how that culture has to be developed through routines, through structures and expectations out of what is to be read. And definitely we need to make certain structures inside the school and have guidance provided and support provided to the children to read. And I have one point to make, that it shouldn't be only the mother tongue. I think a second language which is universally accepted, that is English, should also be there, because those people who are there around us, who are maybe not who haven't read English books or English medium, they find it very difficult to even go out and buy a simple thing which has only English caption. So I think 2 languages and 3 languages, CBSE also used to say. So reading in both the languages at least should be instilled and imbibed by not just the children, but all of us.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. Shilpi, your comments.
Sir, I would mention the present milieu. We are online, and it's very important, that we look at practices, creating a culture online also, because that's the biggest reality today. So when I look at that, I think as teachers, tomorrow when you sit down to plan your weekly sessions, for the next week, think of the concept that you're going to be talking about, and then integrate it with reading. There are multiple ways. If you're a kindergarten teacher, you can, start with Eric Carle. You're teaching junior school, you can use Dr. Seuss's books to integrate what you're teaching in the classroom. And when I talk, I'm not mentioning the language teachers merely. If you're an SST teacher and you are teaching Quit India Movement, think of, Kelka's book on Ahimsa, where that talks about Quit India Movement. So it's a lot about integration of reading with what you're doing in the classroom, rather than running it, a parallel program. It has to be integrated with what you're doing while you're delivering the classroom. So that's how the culture is created. The culture cannot be created, I do something here and outside my classroom or in the library or in the corridor, and then when it's in the classroom, so it's purely, we're just talking about academics. So music, art, everything can be integrated, and so can ICT be. Even mathematics can be integrated very beautifully with reading. We are doing it practically in school. There are 3 more things that I quickly want to mention. One, we're all doing DARE. But then DARE is not just meant for children. They are not going to be actually dropping in doing just reading. The teacher in the classroom should be reading, the principal in her office, the guard in the guard's canopy, and the school gate should say for the next 15 minutes, no visitors are allowed. Even the admin team.
It's gone beyond time. I'll have to call on Papa later.
The culture
Not
would
finishing.
be. Sir, even so a lot of talk around, physical books. I'm an old schooler. I always buy a book and read. But sir, our children are digital natives. They want to read online. They want to read PDFs. They want to read ebooks. Let them read. It's a lot about reading. And sir, I am a supporter of Cohen and not Skinner. I think children are punished as much by punishment as by rewards. Please keep reading away from rewards. I don't know, I just don't agree. I think the joy is killed the moment you introduce a reward. Thank you, sir.
Great. Thank you so much. Aditi ji, your closing statement.
I think it's the turn of Mr. Mahajan.
Okay, Mr. Mahajan, your closing statement.
Yes. So 30 seconds. For first 10 seconds, disciplined reading time. We have made it compulsory for first 15 minutes. Class teacher will be there and all will read properly. So that disciplined reading time helps. And those who are not reading, they will also read because they are forced to read during that 15-20 minutes, and they slowly it become their habit. Second thing, it's a myth that if you are techno savvy, if you are using gadgets, you will not read. No, not at all. That's not a point. So they should allow to use that thing also, and then while that thing, they can create the book and they can read that thing. Third thing is little bit change in the strategy of the teaching learning process also. Ask them the open-ended question and then put that question, and the next day they will follow many books, they will read and they will come up. So open-ended question, disciplined reading, give them the gadgets for the purpose of creating the books, creating the articles, and find out the vocabulary, pronunciation, this and that, and they can do that thing. That way, that will be there, yes, but the reward should be there. Otherwise, they will not be motivated. They are too young to understand. Even we are not understanding. When that when our inspection framework, that thing has come, we also started doing that thing. So see,
Good.
that is there. It's a natural law. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Aditi ji, your statement.
I'm going to finish in less than 30 seconds.
Okay.
I don't think you can force anyone to read. The moment you force, the joy goes out. So we can't force everyone to sing. We can't force everyone to play. We can't force everyone to dance. We encourage. We give them an opportunity. We give them the platform. But those who don't, let them be. It doesn't matter. You know, the environment is there. But there are children who are not moved by that. You know, I mean, today, everybody does a lot of things. I, for example, don't drive. Big deal. I don't drive. I have a problem maybe, but I don't believe in forcing. Despite that, I'm very happy with the kind of progress children are making while they are reading. But I don't want to force it. That's my...
Thank you, ma'am. My 30 seconds worth of closing. Please do not think that reading skills are something, joy for reading is something that you can force. I agree with Aditi. I started reading, my first books, I remember, were Phantom comics, and there used to be Chacha Chaudhary and Lotpot and all those nice real comics. That's how I started reading. Today, I would read autobiographies, biographies, and books by Kotler and all those people. I think let it be a joy, let it develop on its own. We as principals, as teachers, are supposed to mentor them. We need to explain them and give them opportunities to learn. We have had a great session. Next week, Friday at 5, we are going to look at why mathematical thinking is beyond mathematics. It's not just something. NEP also talks about developing mathematical thinking. We are going to be looking at why even it's important for English teachers, EVS teachers, science teachers to make sure that mathematical thinking is developed right from foundation classes, from the preparatory classes. So do join us. Please put your comments on the chat box. I want to thank all my panelists for being with us, sharing their valuable views.